not kill you if you flak jacket? It's insanity. It blew up immediately. Come on. Oh, yes, the guy in front of me takes no damage, but I take full damage.
We got the lead. Now hold it.
Oh, I couldn't move. I tried to swing, nothing. It didn't react when I pressed the button. Lame.
We got the lead. Now
they were standing right next to me, and the bow staff passed through them and did nothing. Come on.
Control.
Didn't kill him. Fuck. What the fuck happened? I don't know what that was. Where is he? I couldn't. He was camping? What? Dude, that's the opposite of the game mode. You're supposed to be moving and killing as much as you can. He camps. Oh, my lord. It's getting lame now. There's nothing I could do there. There was a lethal there for no good reason.
Ultimate mastery.
I couldn't do anything. I was trying. I couldn't do anything. What the hell? I swung. I was mid-swing and the game didn't give it to me. What? What are you talking about? Again, I'm the best on my team. My team basically just sucks. So if I'm the only player that's doing anything on my team, it's going to be pretty hard to be able to win, you know? My team sucks ass. How am I missing? Twice I swung, and he swung wildly in the wrong direction, and the guy standing right in front of him. This is stupid. I don't even know where did that come from? There was no one even near me yet that I got lit on fire. Huh? I wish I could tell why I'm dying, but it's not really possible to figure it out, huh? What? If you say so. I was already swinging, so don't ask me how he hit me with that. I was already swinging. That's twice in a row. I was already swinging, but they're saying that he killed me.
Tactical incoming.
Huh? What? How is he killing me? Oh, he wasn't in the room. Okay, invisible enemy kills me that time. That didn't render. What happened? Oh my lord, it's so messy.
Incoming lead.
Well, Moron's back, but as you can see, I'm actually doing pretty good. Oh, okay. Wow, I was mid-melee kill on a second guy, and he interrupted. Well, I couldn't move. I spawned, I walked one step forward, I was instantly dead. What happened? It did, I got it? It said I got it. What? What? What is going on? Again, I'm swinging first, but it's giving him the kill probably because, again, he has a better connection than I do. Oh, shit, I made it. Well, I just spawned. There's someone behind me who killed me in the spawn area. That's great. Again, dude, this is terrible. Why are there guys in the spawn area shooting me from the side? So the Semtex, they all have flak jackets, so killed no one, even though I actually threw it directly into two of them. Oh my god, yeah, I hate this map. Fuck this. I really hate this map with a passion. There's no skill, it's just stupidity. Everyone is chucking shit and just firing blindly. It's moronic. I really hate that map.
Dude, it put me right in the same game. I'm not even kidding you. This game is so bad. I just quit this fucking game. Why would I want to play the same game again? What a bunch of stupid idiots, man. They took the easiest way out developing this game. Like, no actual effort. It's so sad.
They lock you back into the same lobby to avoid rage quitting. I didn't rage quit. The game sucks. I didn't rage quit. The game sucks. I didn't rage quit. The game sucks. It's not a rage quit. It's your map sucks and the game sucks. Why'd you make it so bad? Put me into a valid match. That's fun. Not this garbage. So guys, listen. We're $86 to support. All right. Earlier today, we got close and didn't hit the goal. We've been in position to hit this goal all night, but in an hour, we got $4. Let's get some support right now. I unbanned all.
Nice kids, try to shoot. It's one of my own. I can get you what I do. I tell you what, your work ethic is inspiring. Your work rate is inspiring.
So look at this photo. This is one of the most famous men in Ireland standing in front of a portrait of two of the most powerful men in the world. Now, there's something that Donald Trump and Conor McGregor have in common, and that isn't just the far-right xenophobic politics, it's that they have both been found liable for rape in civil trials. And today I want to talk about why Gen Z men are so just cooked generally, that the brains are fried. Part of the reason why we are seeing Gen Z men increasingly turn to fascism, it's because a lot of the role models in the world, like traditional role models, like an athlete or, you know, someone who is the most powerful man in the world, even though, you know, people like myself think the United States as a nation state is so evil. When you're growing up, you're told, oh, the president, there's some sort of aura of respect around the presidency. And you have revered presidents who essentially became martyrs and saints like JFK. And you're conditioned to think that this office has integrity, respectability. So when you have someone like Donald Trump in that office, of course, to a lot of people, maybe liberal people, they'll say, oh, it's disgusting, an affront to the United States. But then to a lot of other people, it's like, well, he's the president. So every single child in America right now is growing up with Donald Trump being the president. Everyone who's Gen Z remembers him being the president twice. It's so normal. How many people know that he assaulted his first wife? How many people know he's actually been held liable for rape? And he's also been sued following that because he keeps saying more stuff about his victim. But this is the most powerful man in the world who's just been increasingly normaled, memeified. And when you see like Gen Z influencers like Logan Paul, Jake Paul, they're all just promoting this guy and having normal conversations with him, not bringing this up.
POV. 100 days left before President Trump delivers another knockout.
Got a good stance, Loki. You got a jab, I think. That's pretty good. We're not messing with this guy. You ever fight your brother?
Not in real life.
You
no.
practiced a little bit.
Never. We've never even sparred. But I was willing to step in for Mike Tyson when Tyson got sick, and we actually ran it up the chain.
It's hard for brothers to fight.
Well, me and Jake decided we both come from a place of love, and whatever the outcome would be, we'd have to be okay with it.
Who makes more money?
It depends on the year. It depends if Jake has fights.
People are going to just increasingly like look up to this guy and see him as normal because he is so sanitized by the media. Yeah, we see him, politics nerds, we know what he stands for, we know what he does, we know all that stuff. Most people aren't politics nerds, so they don't know this stuff. They just see the president, they're told to like him, they might see something that makes him appear likable. You know, he is human, we're all laughing at him talking about everything computer, and he just gets an absolute pass. And also how he's previously spoke about women is seen okay, and also to lots of people, they see misogyny is not demonized, it is rewarded. And Conor McGregor is another great example, alongside Andrew Tate, people who are popular among Gen Z men, who are espousing far-right politics, and who are, in their rhetoric, misogynist, but have also committed vile acts against women. And while not as normalised as Donald Trump, they're still being promoted and normalised in our society. So if you are a Gen Z man, you have these three figures, and in terms of two of them, it's actually pretty acceptable for them to be your heroes. Like, you can go around saying that, and it's not gonna be like controversial to millions and millions of people. And I want to talk about the evolution of that, because as much as I don't like to focus normally on individuals, there is something about Donald Trump which has just allowed this culture to flourish, of just the most vile, misogynistic men being promoted and revered by loads of younger men. Because of course, if you're seeing misogyny as a path to power and success, you're less likely to think that is actually a bad thing. Combined with the political landscape at the moment, with so many conservative politicians talking about rolling back women's rights. And it's fair to say, the men we are putting on a pedestal as a society, sadly, are some of the most terrible ones. And it's not surprising, Gen Z men, who just like most Gen Z people, regardless of gender, are disenfranchised and they're more susceptible to more extreme messaging. It's not surprising they are revering these figures, especially when they have been successful in more traditionally masculine pursuits like, you know, fighting or business or whatever. So I want to talk about all of this today just because Gareth Southgate, who used to be the England manager, the England football manager, he spoke about this, and I thought he made some good points. But I just want to talk about like our general societal acceptance of these people and talk about like how different it is to when I was growing up. Before we go any further, if you want to support the channel, check out my Patreon, check out YouTube membership, and also follow me on social media at BlueSky and Instagram. So before we talk more about Conor McGregor, Donald Trump, and Andrew Tate, let's just use Gareth Southgate's recent speech to frame this, because I thought he made some good points. The headline was sensationalist. I actually posted on Reddit a breakdown of what he actually said relevant to the headline. But Gareth said, rather than turning to teachers, sports coaches, or youth group leaders, Gareth Southgate has said he feared many young men were searching for direction online. He said they were finding a new kind of role model, one that too often did not have their best interests at heart. These are callous, manipulative, and toxic influencers whose sole drive is for their own gain. They willingly trick young men into believing that success is measured by money or dominance, that strength means never showing emotion, and that the world, including women, is against them. Too many young men are isolated, too many feel uncomfortable opening up to friends or family. Many don't have mentors, teachers, coaches, or bosses. Young men inevitably try to handle whatever situation they find themselves in alone. Young men end up withdrawing, reluctant to talk or express their emotion. They spend more time online searching for direction and are falling into unhealthy alternatives. So saying what like a lot of us have been saying, and it seems to just be like the obvious truth, but it is nice to see from someone who did hold this like coveted, like masculine position of the coach of the England football team. I want to kind of pivot from what he's saying because, of course, he's an older man, probably like born in the 60s or 70s, and he grew up playing football, and he's talking about like role models, and probably without realizing everything he touched on. He says a lot of important stuff. He's talking about like the breakdown of community, toxic masculinity, making men feel like they should go at it alone, talking about obviously like social media brainwashing. There's so much of that stuff that is priming young men to just be super toxic in their political views, especially as he outlined in regards to misogyny. But before we get into the misogynists we're talking about, let's just talk about how the general landscape has changed because of social media and Donald Trump. So I'm specifically talking about my experience as a man, and you know, you might not be a man, you can relate, but basically growing up from a young age to when I was a teenager, as a man, as someone who likes traditionally like masculine things, grew up in like that masculine environment, my heroes were always athletes. And that is something that most people can relate to. Weirdly enough, as someone who doesn't like Liverpool, Michael Owen was one of my heroes when I was like 5 or 6 because he was just like the best player. Like everyone wanted to be Michael Owen when I was like that age. And then it kind of evolved, like, you know, obviously we had David Beckham. We had the rise of the celebrity athlete. But why it was different back then is we loved David Beckham and we loved Michael Owen, but we didn't know anything about them because we weren't on social media. And even as I got older, when I was on social media, it was just so different because so many celebrities didn't have social media. You didn't know every single thought they had about politics or how they treated people in their own personal lives. All you saw them as was this aspirational figure, someone who was at the peak of their craft, someone who did stuff you respected so much, and someone you wanted to be. And that is something a lot of kids probably can still relate to. And lots of kids won't know this, but even as we got older, we're like, I don't know David Beckham's political views. And that is partly like PR from the celebrity themselves, but also because this is pre-social media, we just didn't know. We didn't know, so we kind of had this blissful ignorance where we could project ourselves onto our heroes and we could make them even better than what they were. So not only is David Beckham a great footballer, he's also like a super nice guy, and I want to be just like him. And because his image was relatively sanitized, although there was an insane media focus on him, nothing really that terrible ever came out that you would turn against him. There were a few cases like John Terry, Ashley Cole, where you did hear about them being pretty terrible people in person or doing high profile things like racial abuse, which often obviously we saw with people like Luis Suarez and John Terry. At the same time, in my experience, we revere these people. And also, another person, this is a really weird one, because I've said bad things about Lord of the Rings. I was obsessed with Lord of the Rings as a kid, and I was obsessed with the books and the movies. I watched the behind-the-scenes stuff, and I remember saying to my parents, I want to be a director. What a weird thing, I think, for a child to say. I don't want to be Legolas. I don't want to be Aragorn. I want to be Peter Jackson. Like, I literally said stuff like that. Peter Jackson's actually one of my idols because he made, like, some of my favorite movies as a kid. And what's funny about that is it's kind of similar, is my only exposure to Peter Jackson's personality was through the behind-the-scenes videos of The Lord of the Rings. I knew nothing about his personal views, nothing about his politics. I still don't today because I haven't gone looking for it. But there wasn't that sensationalism around it. There wasn't social media allowing everyone to broadcast themselves 24/7. So you just didn't know what these people were like. And that applies to actors. Like Orlando Bloom was another one. I always idolized growing up as well. So I had all these like masculine figures doing masculine things. But again, they couldn't influence me politically or socially because they were just like heroes where I projected so much onto them because of them doing things I like playing cool characters in movies like Kingdom of Heaven or Lord of the Rings, or making a film I like, or being a great athlete who I wanted to be like in terms of how I play, and that's what I thought like their worth was. Fast forward to 2025, and you have people like Conor McGregor, where obviously people respect his athletic talent, but you literally cannot divorce that from his personality. As like a teenage man, you can't look up to Conor McGregor without being okay with the rest of it. You can't look up to his fighting style without knowing all the shit he says about immigrants and him actually being someone who was found liable for rape, right? If you like Conor McGregor now, which plenty of people do, by the way, you have to accept all that stuff. And back in the day, we had more like respectability in just politics and society. It was a sham, of course, because so much of his stuff was just covered up instead. But it was covered up because if stuff came out about you that was really, really terrible, then you would be ostracized. I think about Mel Gibson, right? What he said was obviously terrible. If Mel Gibson didn't say that until 2025, what would the reaction be today? You know it would be so different. Yes, many would be horrified. Would he be like cancelled as he was? I don't think he would. Now, in regards to Conor McGregor, of course I understand that in boxing culture and fighting culture, a lot of boxers weren't that nice. Like Mike Tyson, terrible guy. Similar in regards to Conor McGregor with women. Plenty of boxers have been really, really terrible. But I still think Conor McGregor and Andrew Tate are reflective of a culture that increasingly like doesn't give a shit about anything you say. And that's because of Donald Trump. Now, a lot of you guys won't be old enough to remember this, but because I remember a pre-Trump world, what Trump essentially did was just open the floodgate, loads of racist and misogynistic rhetoric becoming increasingly normalized. Like there was a period, like 2010 or whatever, it felt like we were making progress. Gay marriage getting legalized across the Western world, more just general societal acceptance, more conversations about feminism. And it felt like, although Donald Trump didn't roll all of them back, it was like, here is a reminder of what people actually think, not in public. And he made it okay to say these things again in public. And although it didn't immediately catch on, you're seeing now in society, everyone accepts Donald Trump. Look at the inauguration, all those tech CEOs. Look at all these companies agreeing to everything he's doing or pandering to him by removing DEI policies. Donald Trump, previously unacceptable, is now totally fine. And in that culture, we have him doing all the things he's done, the thing recently with a civil case against him, and then he's president again, and people aren't more horrified as he's gotten worse. People are more accepting, and the media are even more complicit in rehabilitating this guy's image and going along with him. So now we're showing everyone, Donald Trump, most powerful man in the world, successful in business, everyone in America, all you young men, all you kids, this is how you do it. And if you want to be successful, be like Donald Trump. Move on a bit more to Conor McGregor. So he was found liable for rape in a civil case last year. Really damning, super disgusting. Like you can read it in graphic detail, what he did. That goes along with a loads of terrible shit he's done, including assaulting people, but also coincides with him trying to rebrand himself as some sort of a political figure, trying to be the president of Ireland. The president of Ireland pretty much doesn't have any real political power. It's more like a ceremonial role, but he's trying to make it seem like it is something where he'll be like the dictator of Ireland, like Donald Trump in the United States. But again, this is so damning, so disgusting. And in a previous era, even as an MMA fighter, I think this would have just made him a pariah. But it doesn't now. this is the difference in culture. It doesn't. It actually, to a lot of people, makes him look like he's being screwed by the feminist system and they're trying to stitch him up. And also people saying he was found liable in civil court, so that's not actually real. Like with Donald Trump, because it's civil court and because they don't go to prison afterwards, people say it doesn't really count. Obviously, we see his meeting with Donald Trump, which is just like disgusting to like just everyone around the world who's a decent person to see these two swanning around the White House. And obviously being absolute Nazis as well. So here's Conor McGregor going on an anti-migrant rant as well.
I'm here to raise the issues the people of Ireland face, you know, and it'll be music to the people of Ireland's ears, because never on the main stage has the issues the people of Ireland face been spoke. You know, our government has long since abandoned the voices of the people of Ireland. And it's high time that America is made aware of what is going on in Ireland. What is going on in Ireland is a travesty. Our government is the government of zero action with zero accountability. You know, our money is being spent on overseas issues that has nothing to do with the Irish people. The illegal immigration racket is running ravage on the country. There are rural towns in Ireland that have been overrun in one swoop, that have become a minority in one swoop. So issues need to be addressed, and the 40 million Irish Americans, as I said, need to hear this, because if not, there will be no place to come home and visit.
So sex pest pandering to the far right, tale as old as time, obviously something Andrew Tate is doing right now as well. And in regards to this issue, if you guys are unaware about Irish politics right now, basically there's been a massive surge in anti-migrant sentiment, obviously been huge violent protests, spurred on often by misinformation around crimes done by people they thought were immigrants that turned out to be actual Irish citizens. That was stopped by actual immigrants. There's a lot of obviously Brazilians now in Ireland, and there's more just like multiculturalism in Ireland. It's very different from when I used to go there as a kid, where contrasting to my upbringing in London, when I used to go to Ireland, you didn't really see much diversity generally. Now when you go there, I wouldn't say Ireland resembles like London or even Belfast, but it is noticeably more multicultural. Another tale as old as time, when there's economic issues and when a country has been fucked over by the 1%, who do they blame? Immigrants. And I don't really talk about Irish politics, but for people who don't know, if you think England is like a uniparty, or the UK is, Ireland is a uniparty. Like, there is really no difference between the two main political parties who keep switching power since independence, right? Really nothing. And that means they're both neoliberal, both pro-austerity, both haven't been funding social programs for a long time. Ireland doesn't have universal healthcare, by the way, either. And obviously a big issue in Ireland right now is housing. Public housing, housing generally, so many landlords, Airbnbs in Dublin. The rent is just really fucking insane right now. It's a massive, massive problem. So when you have that problem and you have more refugees from Ukraine or the Middle East, and you just have more general migrants from places like Brazil, and you don't have enough housing, it's of course going to cause tension in the country itself. So you can do one of two things. You can blame the government's economic policies and decades of austerity and not properly funding anything good in Ireland. As much as I think England is going to hell, the difference between London and Dublin is so incredibly stark. One has evidence of actually having public funding properly. One is a country that has just been completely neglected by the uniparty for decades. And I don't like saying bad things about cities where my family are from, but in my opinion, the actual city of Dublin is a bit of a shithole. And a lot of it's just due to general poverty and just the general malaise of these neoliberal governments that will basically do nothing to solve the issues. And Ireland is actually one of the worst examples that skirts under the radar pretty much because their foreign policy is decent. But let me remind everyone, Ireland's foreign policy is only decent because it's a response to like British colonialism. They're not all just like the most moral people ever. Irish politicians are just as bankrupt and corrupt as American and English politicians, but Ireland just has better cultural PR, to be honest. And Conor McGregor is the ugly face of what we're seeing in Ireland right now. He's not unique to it, but also a lot of these anti-migrant movements in Ireland are actually funded by conservatives from the UK. So it's like English and Irish people are united around hating Muslims more. It's really bizarre. A lot of Irish people, of course, really hate Conor McGregor. A lot of the Irish elite hate Conor McGregor. Most general people in the Irish establishment really don't like him. And maybe they might agree with his xenophobic politics, but because of all the controversy around him, they just see him as a blight on Ireland, as bad as the potato blight. And here's Politics Joe Ireland talking about this, but then I'm going to show you the comments to how people actually still like him. It's just another thing about these role models just being so terrible, but it seems like nothing they can ever do will detract from their fame and how much people idolize them, as long as they actually did something good once, like in Conor McGregor's case, was a good fighter once.
The one thing that unifies Irish people more than anything else is their hatred for Conor McGregor. I have this man who is liable for rape in a civil trial in the White House speaking for Ireland. Like, I know for certain he doesn't speak for me. He doesn't speak for my mates. He is someone that had the chance to be a fantastic role model and fantastic poster boy for what Ireland was. He squandered it, punching a man in a bar because he wouldn't drink your shit whiskey. Intermittent stories in Irish media of him buying up retail properties in Dublin, hiking the rent, people who have had hairdressers, salons in communities for decades, if not generations. From one day to the next, their business is gone because a guy who claims to be the working class community hero has decided that he's going to start milking them for all their worth. You look at this person that 10, 15 years ago, particularly working class boys in Ireland, looked at as, oh my God, this is somebody that speaks to me, showing something positive about where I'm from and what I am. You betrayed the trust.
They're saying that we can't have immigration to this country, legal or otherwise, because these men, these others, are a threat to our women. The biggest irony of all is that they themselves are found through the judicial process to be massive threats to women.
While Conor McGregor is, of course, way more controversial at the moment because it's recently that he was found liable, at the same time, we are seeing in very quick terms that all be sanitized. It didn't stop his visits to the White House, didn't stop him getting up on the podium and ranting again about immigration and basically wanting to be president of Ireland. Didn't stop any of that. So it's rehabilitating him once again in his image. And obviously Conor has always had that appeal to Gen Z men just generally in America and Ireland and the UK. And now people are saying, you know, he's come from nothing, he's fought his way to the top, and here he is at the White House speaking for us. But that's what they see. That's what they see. He didn't get found guilty and he's not in prison. He's gone from the bottom to the top, and that's an aspirational figure right there. And he speaks for Ireland. This fascist rhetoric speaks for Ireland. So again, when you're showing people that's what gets rewarded in society, do you really expect a lot of young men to not gravitate towards this? Because when people like Andrew Tate are telling them that they'll be successful for being like terrible misogynists, and they see Donald Trump and Conor McGregor, it's hard to tell them this is a hindrance to their success. At the same time, of course, it's redirecting their anger in things like general capitalism towards things like immigration or women, which is completely wrong, and is obviously why Gen Z brains are so cooked right now. But even Conor McGregor's language being popular and people agreeing with it, again, is caused by the inactivity of the Irish government and generally what they've been doing to Ireland for a long, long time. Sadly, Irish independence has just meant for generations that the Irish elite have cut themselves to capitalism and Catholicism, and while one is waning at the moment, as we saw the recent election, it doesn't seem like Irish capitalism is going to change anytime soon. But yeah, we have two people found liable for terrible shit, although it is linked. Donald Trump loves the MMA, Dana White is a big Trump ally, he's now on the board at Meta, but also Dana White recently welcomed the Tate brothers when they came to watch a fight in America, right? And also, it's pretty clear there's someone in the White House who helped facilitate them traveling to America. So the BBC is reporting, did the White House help end the Tate's travel ban? So they've been freed from travel restrictions in Romania after several high-level White House officials took an interest in their case. It's unclear what role Donald Trump's administration may have played in the release, but his top envoys have said to raise the case with Romania's foreign minister. So it says Trump's special envoy Richard Grenell raised the issue at a security conference in Munich. One of Tate's lawyers now works as the White House liaison to the US Justice Department. So although Andrew Tate is the big boogeyman right now and everyone knows him as just being like this really violent, misogynistic groomer and everything, at the same time what the Donald Trump administration is just showing is that none of this stuff fucking matters. None of this matters. You're on the most gross charges, but I'm going to get my government to pressure the Romanian government to free you, basically, to free you and let you come to America. And then you can meet up with Conor McGregor and Dana White and attend an MMA fight. And, you know, if you saw Andrew Tate at the White House, right, would you be surprised? Like, I do feel that's a step too far. At the same time, I can still see it happening. Like, think of all these terrible people. Like, Conor McGregor isn't too much different from Andrew Tate. And he was there. The only thing with Conor McGregor is he's in more mainstream culture a bit more. But what we're seeing right now is just these men being elevated and elevated, and their misogynistic crimes are not a hindrance to this, and you could even argue it's a benefit to them. So when you're showing that to so many young men around the world, of this is the pathway to power and success, especially at a time when the economy is just not working for younger generations at all, you know they're going to gravitate towards this. And even what like Gareth Southgate was saying, like the role models, the heroes of the past, they're so different now. Like these people being elevated so high and people knowing what they stand for completely and still being okay with it just shows they're riding this wave of general fascist misogyny that's been sweeping like the Western world for like the last 8 or so years, and has just reached an absolute fever pitch at the moment where, yeah, there are no consequences for not just being misogynistic, there aren't consequences for actually doing misogynistic crimes if you're famous enough and have the right connections, and society will just accept you because, yeah, even though previously they didn't like Donald Trump because he was so uncouth or whatever, at the same time, now they're all just linked economically, and as this oligarchy increasingly centralizes, who sucks up to power is more important than what you've done. And because Andrew Tate has promoted Donald Trump a lot, that's why he's getting off. And because so many people now in the MAGA movement are just groiper incels, of course they're going to be promoting these people and not see any problem with all the misogynistic stuff they've done. So yeah, a bit of a doomer angle to end the video, but let me know what you guys think in the comments. And if you made it this far, thank you for watching.
It's like memeing into existence a government agency.
And then speaking to the internet the way it likes to be spoken to, which is memes, actually.
The left can't meme.
Harris' campaign was trolling Trump.
They're already trolling him.
He has been trying to troll the city back as much as he believes he's been trolled.
It's epic trolling, shall we say.
Just makes trolls like myself very happy.
I am become meme. Yeah, pretty much.
This was an epic troll. He's trolling the trolls, and it's so epic.
Master grade A trolling.
A troll at the epic level.
Kind of epic. It's been, I think the word is epic. Elon Musk suggested this has been epic, and he's right.
Epic. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of iDubbbz Complains. Today, I'm going to be complaining about memes, being an edgelord, and trolling. But don't worry, if you partake in any of those activities, I'm gonna give you a pass because I think you deserve it. Because we live in hell and you deserve to let out steam in some ways. However, I don't think our president...
He may have been trolling you a little bit.
Senators...
Just kind of like a god tier kind of trolling.
And journalists.
Trump's trolling Trudeau. He's totally trolling him.
Should be doing any of this. That's the only purpose of this video, is to air my grievances. The other day, I flipped on the news and I saw fucking Elon Musk with a chainsaw, and he was making some fucking noises. I hesitate to even call them cringe noises, because we're beyond that. You know, we're not calling things cringe necessarily. There's almost some like authenticity in cringe. Anyway, this got me thinking about the topic of memes and trolling. Trolling can be a funny little harmless joke that is emphasized in its unseriousness.
She has no vision, no idea, she has no solution. All she can say is Donald Trump.
Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump.
But then there's the other end of the spectrum, where you are never told whether something is serious or a joke or not.
Should I run again? You tell me.
And then that's also defined as trolling. We're kind of playing the meta irony game.
Usually people who do this, though, generally have bad dog shit takes, like me, and are deliberate degenerates.
It's extremely painful in a world where we want to take our politicians seriously, but we also want to treat people like they're human, and they're allowed to have human moments where they bring a little levity to the situation.
I have to speak of inflation. I love these socks. What's with these socks? I'm trying to stay focused, but I'm very impressed with the VP's socks.
But I've sort of decided that politicians, they don't deserve that. Billionaires don't deserve that. And members of the media don't deserve that. I'll take it to its extreme even. Same shit goes for surgeons, cab drivers, if my life is even tangentially in your hands, you cannot make jokes. That goes triple for the president. And I think that's being nice, you know. I could have said quadruple, I said triple. It goes quadruple for Elon Musk. Not allowed to make jokes. If you're Elon Musk, this is what you're allowed to do. Croak. By the way, this is an example. I'm a YouTuber. I just said that, and someone's got to be wondering, like, is he serious? Does he really think that Elon Musk could croak? I'm going to be honest. That's about 50-50. Holy shit, I just realized Elon Musk is kind of built kind of like a bullfrog. Like, if you're going to be built like a bullfrog, croak a little bit. Actually, I think he would like that because isn't the Pepe like a frog? I might be a little bit out of touch here, but I don't know what the Pepe is. In fact, I call it the Pepe. Our first example of trolling comes by way of Senator Ted Cruz.
With respect to Canada, I think the president is basically trolling Canada. I don't think anyone thinks there's a realistic prospect that Canada will become part of the United States. It was an epic troll.
If he was commenting on the Problapeno and he said, "Now that's an epic troll," I would get it. I would be like, yes, we got one of the OGs. But that's not what he said.
But I will say it was an epic troll, and I actually think on the merits there are very strong reasons why that makes sense for the United States. Geopolitically, Greenland's location on the Arctic is incredibly important. With Russia or China, any ICBMs would come over the Arctic targeting the United States. Greenland is ideally situated to defend America. Vast resources of critical earth and rare earth minerals that are essential for semiconductors, for electronics, for military equipment.
But Greenland at this point is not for sale, so why stake that as such a top priority?
Well, because anything can be not for sale until it suddenly is.
Yeah, that's all, folks. This guy's a fucking freak.
Anything can be not for sale until it suddenly is.
That's just rape brain. You realize that, like, this is someone else's culture, this is someone else's land, this is someone else's country. This is not yours. None of it belongs to you. You can't be like, well, everyone has a price. I know we're in America. A lot of you are going to be sympathetic to it. You're taught in your door-to-door salesman class, you got to take 5 no's before it actually means yes.
So when President Trump said he might use economic or military coercion, what does that mean? What is military
I don't remember him saying military coercion.
He did.
We have enough shit to worry about. We do not need to, like, fuck with allied countries and suggest that their culture, their country, their security isn't important. It's fucking stupid. It's so unprofessional. And that's coming from iDubbbz.
He's mastered that art of trolling, that art of saying and doing things to cause his opponents to completely lose their cool. And Trump's cabinet picks are the perfect illustration of both his deal-making prowess and his troll talent.
You're a dork. All of these people, pretty much everyone that I'm going to show in this video, that's the best word to describe them, is just fucking dorks. They are 20 years behind in using the language that they're using.
They said, I'm the GOAT.
I'm the captain now. Look at this. He reposted this edited SpongeBob meme.
And they're tremendously unserious. It's like, yeah, this would be a little cringe to hear out on the street, but I'm hearing this shit on C-SPAN.
For people who don't remember the trolling, set us up. Why was that a trolling moment? What was happening there?
Referencing the coconut tree meme about her.
Why the fuck am I hearing this shit on C-SPAN? I don't want to hear meme. Oh, that was an epic meme, Mr. President. No, what the fuck? I would understand it if they were, like, live streaming and they were getting some donos as they said wild shit, but I'm like, you're a fucking senator. Are you not afraid of playing Luigi's Mansion? Another example of the out-of-control trolling is renaming the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America.
I mean, are we really going to see this change to the Gulf of America, or is Donald Trump just trolling us?
I suspect a little bit more of the latter. Over the recently renamed Gulf of America?
Well, he did it. He wasn't trolling. He at least wasn't trolling based on my definition of trolling, which is being unserious. These conservative pundits are asking the question, is Trump trolling us?
Is Donald Trump just trolling us?
And I think when they say us, they don't mean the room. They mean the American people. And I think that's a distinct difference, because I think these people, the president can troll them. They wouldn't mind being trolled by the president. You know, you're getting the vibe.
I've been known to be able to be trolled by Donald Trump in the past.
He can joke with me. I love him. Deep-throating the president by suggesting that he might be doing a little prank on us is not the side of the aisle that I want to be on. The president's not going to fucking play a joke on me. Right. Another not-so-innocent example of the trolling is the situation in Gaza right now.
We achieved an epic ceasefire agreement.
Instead of treating it with the dignity and respect and sensitivity that it deserves, we get an AI slop video and a speech that accompanies it that is meant to be taken seriously.
The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it, too. We'll own it. Level the site and get rid of the destroyed buildings, unlimited numbers of jobs and housing for the people of the area.
That is such like an old man threat, is to say, we're going to do a job with it.
And we will do a job with it, too.
That could mean whatever you want it to mean. In the context of like wiping out a culture, that's, you know, that's doing a job with it. Cleaning up your neighborhood from all the riffraff, we're gonna do a job with it. Now, I do understand that trolling is part of political strategy now. I wanna like pump the brakes a little bit on the idea that like all of it's the same, or that when it's used by the president, it is like uniquely strategic, because ultimately we are dealing with an old man. If there's anything I've witnessed with crotchety, senile old men, it's that trolling is like a lifestyle for them. They do this on the regular. It's a personality trait. It's because a lot of them haven't gotten help. You know, they haven't looked inward. They're actually getting a little bit of dementia privilege. They're getting a little bit of Alzheimer's privilege. I don't want to give Donald Trump Alzheimer's privilege if he doesn't have it. Please. Please don't give that away so freely. Allow someone to earn it. It takes a lot of effort to build that much plaque in your brain. There's a lot of members of the media who will continue to ask, is Trump being serious here?
But the trolling, you know, suggesting Canada could be the 51st state, I mean, he's clearly not serious about this, right?
Well, there's no way that Canada will be the 51st state. So it is a statement that he's making for effect. It's not going to happen. That's correct.
There's no way? Where the fuck has this guy been? I mean, if you're on your way out, just say it, because I don't want to hear this shit. We all have to live with it. Don't say there's no way. Hey, trust me, I want to believe that there's no way as well. I can't in good conscience tell people, oh, there's no way that's going to happen. No way, it's impossible. We, over the past decade, have been saying there's no way, there's no way. And it just keeps happening. I don't know you. You're not consoling me. You don't need to console the American people. Give us the reality. And the reality is anything can happen.
Happy Paddy's Day, America.
Legalize comedy.
I'm president, so I want to pay full price.
We have another example of trolling, and this time it's getting piped into me through brainwaves from a Gen X man who's wearing cargo shorts and an oversized hoodie.
I would describe it as God-tier level trolling. Just kind of like a God-tier kind of trolling.
I described that. That's God-tier trolling. I mean, that was never serious.
I think Senator Fetterman has an outdated definition of trolling. He slipped up a little bit there. He said it was God-tier trolling that was never serious. Trolling nowadays just means doing something seriously, parentheses, malicious. Now, aside from Trump, Elon, and senators trolling or, you know, trying to be epic sauce or whatever, I noticed that the White House Twitter account and Instagram account were also trying to be funny. Roses are red, violets are blue, come here illegally and we'll deport you. Oh, kind of epic if you're a dork who's never actually made a joke in your life. The other one is a video of a deportation with a bunch of chains and handcuffs. And they're calling it illegal alien ASMR. Now, if you don't think that that is distasteful or extremely shitty, I want to access your brain for a moment and just remind you that this is the highest, most powerful office in the world, and we have allowed these people to feel comfortable tweeting out jokes that you would be fired on the spot for tweeting out. I understand that there is this part of the brain that says, I like the idea of there not being a cancel culture and the effects of the White House being able to say whatever the fuck they want. I like the idea of that trickling down to me at my job, at my place of employment, so that I can be a little bit more relaxed. And I can maybe say some fucked up shit and people will know that I'm just joking. But it doesn't work that way. There is a distinct difference, and that's the problem, is that we are all holding ourselves to a high standard, but not the highest office in the land. In addition to these tweets, I've been looking at the White House articles, I guess you can call them, on whitehouse.gov. The title of this article is, Yes, Biden Spent Millions on Transgender Animal Experiments. The fake news losers at CNN immediately tried to fact check it, but President Trump was right, as usual.
Meaning Democrats wanted to fund a trans mice program to one day create trans people. Trans male mice trying to play in female mice sports. Trans mice traps. Do you have those?
These researchers were studying the effects of hormone therapy while receiving an HIV vaccine and how your immune system responds to it. Which, by the way, all sorts of non-trans people go through hormone therapy every day. This is important stuff. So yeah, the reason I bring up this article is because the verbiage that is being used is so like pathetic and wormy. What a stupid, moronic statement. Vindman has a terminal case of Trump derangement syndrome, and it shows. Now, reading these articles, you might think, oh, Trump might be getting some help from Elon Musk. Maybe he's getting help from Barron Trump, because it has that vibe of like unhinged child. I have a strong feeling that the memes on Twitter and some of these articles are written by none other than Big Chungus. Trump refers to Stephen Chung, who is the White House communications director, as my sumo wrestler. It sounds like I'm making it up. Yeah, he does have a meme coin that was made after him. I think it's called Chungus or Big Chungus, something like that. I don't know if he's affiliated with it, but he certainly follows it on Twitter.
Crooked Joe Biden and his campaign are in complete freak-out mode.
Just imagine in your head for a moment, you're thinking to yourself, White House Communications Director. What does his Twitter account look like? It's him calling everyone cucks. Kamala Harris plane being cucked by Trump Force 1. Cuck Force 2 carrying Kamala Harris. Ron DeSantis is cucking himself. These out-of-touch cucks are so beyond their depth. He needs to stop embarrassing himself like a cuck. Cock. So do you stay in the room or do you leave? Cock. Now, I will say Big Chungus does have standards. You know, most of his cuck tweets are from his personal account, but he will let a couple fly from his government-affiliated account. Tim Walz is a cuck, a.k.a. the Cuck Convention. By the way, calling everyone cuck is just kind of his like trademark thing to do. He doesn't seem particularly good in front of the camera, in front of a microphone.
That President Trump is leading Joe Biden by wide margins.
So I think he is very much in his element when it comes to like posting tweets. And even if he's not behind it, he's definitely in the ear. This article says like Trump just throws it to Big Chungus on occasion. Like, what does Big Chungus think about this situation? Big Chungus, you take the lead on this one. Do you think it's a good idea to call these senators cucks? Yeah, I agree. Now, I don't know if any of this is going to change anytime soon. I hope that Big Chungus isn't president in 4 years, but, you know, anything can happen. I think I'm at my limit. I'm like, yeah, the ride was fun. I'm ready to get off. Like, I want my politicians to be boring as fuck. I want the media reporting on it to be boring as fuck. This playing grab ass with billionaires and politicians of like, are they pranking us? That shit needs to stop. We do not play grab ass with Donald Trump. We do not play grab ass with Elon Musk. By the way, thank you for staying this long into the video. I must tell you that Creator Clash 3 is happening. I am not fighting in it, so I can continue to make videos like this. Yeah, I mean, it's still going to be epic, I think I want to be the boxing kingpin because maybe I could do a better job at that than actually being like a fighter. The website's down below. Get tickets because the tickets are going to eventually sell out.
It's been, I think the word is epic. Elon Musk suggested this has been epic, and he's right.
It was awesome. I love iDubbbz. I don't care what anyone says. It was a true funny person.
Enemy field upgrade.
And he's obviously really reflective and has a really good heart. Soul. He was a true believer. Let's go! He really, like, he was joking. It was all jokes, but the audience got caught up in the. I think he must have coined the term, and basically, like, you say what you mean, you pretend you're, but you make it sound like a joke, but it's not really a joke. Very interesting. I love the same height documentary that you did. I feel like trashing on Ethan now after we just blazed iDubbbz.
Hello, everyone. So in a recent stream on their podcast by Ethan and Gila Klein of H3H3 Productions, they engaged in fairly blatant denialism of the Palestinian Nakba of 1948, where around 800,000 Palestinians were killed or expelled by Israeli/Jewish forces, and they also spread a very common pro-Israel propaganda narrative, that is, the narrative that Jews were systematically expelled en masse from what is usually described as Muslim or Arab countries during or immediately following these events. The idea behind this is to create like a sort of proportionality between these two events, the Jewish expulsion of the Palestinians and the flight, exodus, and expulsion of Jews from other Middle Eastern nations, where the latter supposedly cancels out and legitimizes the former. The issue is that this argument, even on its own terms, simply doesn't hold up, and it especially doesn't hold up on a factual basis when you actually look at what occurred and why. So I'm going to use the denialism and spreading of false Zionist propaganda by these two.
Let's finish my last AR. Like that dark matter now. Yay!
To create sort of a teaching moment about these events. The Nakba, which most people watching probably already know about, but the narrative surrounding so-called Jewish expulsions that followed is something that has not really been talked about nearly as much, in large part because people are afraid of false anti-Semitism allegations regarding it.
DEI might be a fairly recent term, but its broad cultural meaning is really no different from affirmative action, and that's a debate that's been raging for decades. And for the average person, especially the average white male person, it is easy to get upset about the idea that someone else might be depriving you of something that you deserve just because they check some oppression boxes. Don't just hire someone because they're black or a woman. Hire the best person for the job. Am I right? Of course, that often comes with the unspoken assumption that the best person for the job must inherently be a white man because, well, for starters, you've only ever seen a white man do that job.
Yeah, strange how that worked out.
So that false assumption is the very thing that DEI and affirmative action actually exists to address by giving talented and qualified people the consideration that they would otherwise not be getting. And we can argue all day about it, but DEI is not simply any time a black person or a woman succeeds at something. That is increasingly how the term is used, though. And not only is it a barely veiled excuse to engage in some bigotry, It also minimizes the accomplishments of truly extraordinary people who absolutely would be worthy of respect and praise, even if they were white men.
Yeah, case in point, Jackie Robinson. Saying that anything about Jackie Robinson's prestige and importance has to do with DEI not only offends us because it's stupid and racist, it also offends us as Dodger fans. And regular season already started, and we're already kicking ass. Now, Jackie Robinson, he wasn't arbitrarily picked to be the first black player to cross the professional baseball color line because they needed a black guy. And in fact, the popular consensus at the time was quite the opposite. He was picked because he was a damn good player, and his stats and list of career highlights still holds up today more than half a century later, even if you remove all the other context about race. Now, that context, however, makes what he accomplished significantly more impressive. Becoming a star athlete at a national level is already an accomplishment, but becoming a star athlete while dealing with fans, opposing players, and even some of your own teammates calling you racial slurs and treating you differently, at a time when you are legally considered a second-class citizen in many parts of the country, that is actually one hell of an accomplishment. That is huge. And any efforts to minimize any of that is just fucking racist. Full stop. I mean, that moments like this, and going back to what we talked about recently with the Tuskegee Airmen, those are examples of America at its best.
Yeah, these are people that are American icons, not just because of what they did, but because they did it while overcoming some of the shittiest aspects of what it means to be an American.
Yes, exactly. A lot of, especially in modern times, you get this kind of so a lot of times undeserved prestige because a lot of the people that we elevate to those positions now are just business starters. Like that guy started Oracle.
30 under 30.
Yes, and it's like, okay, great. That guy got some VC money and had one good idea. A lot of the people that we're talking about and the people that have had their histories deleted by the Trump administration are people who struggled for decades trying to overcome barriers that allowed them to even compete at a level with everyone else.
Barriers that for the average person, if you ever had to deal with it, you'd probably just give up and say, that's insane. How could I ever become like the greatest baseball player of the 50s and 60s? How could I ever achieve greatness in any form?
Knowing that you first had to overcome the race barrier. That's what's crazy about it. And people who are downplaying any of this, who didn't have that barrier at all and still didn't perform at this level.
Yeah. It's also, one thing that really pisses me off about this is like you're mad at someone for overcoming a racial barrier because acknowledging their success means acknowledging that the racial barrier.
Yeah.
You're mad at your damn self.
That's right.
Anyway, why are we talking about a baseball player from the 1940s and 50s? Well, unfortunately, it's all relevant. Here's NBC News. The military story of Jackie Robinson, who broke the color barrier in Major League Baseball after serving as a second lieutenant in the Army, no longer exists on the Department of Defense's website as part of the Trump administration's wiping out of diversity, equity, and inclusion within the federal government. The Pentagon was ordered by Trump to scan federal websites for articles, social media posts, photos, news articles, and videos to remove any web pages that promote diversity, equity, and inclusion. Several websites under Pentagon jurisdiction have removed thousands of pages documenting the history of people of color, LGBTQ people, women, and others from marginalized backgrounds and their contributions to the American military. Multiple pages about Robinson were taken down, including a page about Negro League players talking about serving in the military. But as of Wednesday afternoon, at least one page about Robinson in a series about athletes who served in the military was reinstated.
As Secretary Hegseth has said, DEI is dead at the Defense Department. Pentagon Press Secretary John Ulott said Wednesday in a statement to NBC News, discriminatory equity ideology is a form of woke cultural Marxism that has no place in our military. It divides the force, erodes unit cohesion, and interferes with the service's core warfighting mission. We are pleased by the rapid compliance across the department with the directive removing DEI content from all platforms. In the rare cases that content is removed, either deliberately or by mistake, that is out of the clearly outlined scope of the directive. We instruct the components and they correct the content accordingly. Robinson trained as an officer and was assigned to a tank regiment, but he still had to deal with harassment and the overall policy of segregation in the U.S. military. He faced a court-martial for refusing to sit in the back of a bus while at Fort Hood in Texas, according to military.com. Though he was found not guilty of the 6 counts, including insubordination, the court-martial prevented him from deploying to fight in Europe with his battalion.
So, basically, acknowledging in any official way, even just for a fucking web page, that one of the most important figures in American sports history also previously served in the U.S. military. That is apparently woke cultural Marxism. Got it.
Yeah.
And you can't even make the argument that his time in the Army wasn't particularly noteworthy. He didn't actually serve in combat because it involved him choosing to be court-martialed rather than accept a blatant form of segregation. And this happened just a few short years before the President of the United States decreed officially that, yeah, we're not going to do that anymore. That was a bad idea.
Yeah.
It's actually bad for the military to do segregation.
Also, yeah, one of the most shocking things for African Americans and white people in World War II was being deployed to England and then finding out that black people weren't discriminated against and then being weirded out by that.
Some of the wildest stories.
You can see the text in the old Army manuals that are like, now it's going to be shocking.
Yeah, this might.
You're going to see people treating black people with respect, and that is going to freak you out.
You got it. Yeah. The American white troops would be like at the pub, and they'd be like, "Why are you serving all these black people?" And they're like,
"What the fuck is wrong with you,
mate? What are you talking about?" They'd get so fucking mad about it.
Yeah.
And a similar thing, like once France was liberated, like in France it was similar. Like they treated black people as like fucking human beings.
Yeah.
A lot of them decided to like stay behind.
Yeah, because why would they? They're literally getting fucking threatened at home.
Yeah.
And then they're serving their country, putting their lives at risk, and then getting sent back to get treated the same exact way, or worse in some cases.
I mean, a lot of these guys served heroically in World War II and came back to fight in the civil rights movement and get their shit rocked by cops and dogs and fire hoses and shit.
Yeah.
And, you know, thank you for your service, but also fuck you.
Yeah, and now you have, you know, luckily this particular scenario, some of the things have been replaced because people made such a fucking stink about it for justifiable reasons. But what you're seeing here is the hope that this is history being deleted. Because in 20 years, if this is gone and there aren't people actually bringing this up all the time and showing it to people or it's not changed, like, he's rewriting history to where the white man is the actual savior because they're deleting every contribution.
I mean, I think
based on keyword searches.
I think back to like when I was a kid and I'm like, we didn't have these like woke books that parents are giving their kids. And I'm like, wait a second, I definitely had like multiple children's books about Jackie Robinson specifically.
The books that you didn't think were woke that you had in school would right now be considered Marxist.
Yeah. Why are you so hung up on the fact that not Major League Baseball, but professional baseball, MLB didn't exist yet. Professional baseball in the U.S. didn't have black people playing it up until the 1940s, and that was
fucking insane.
Written in the sand. Why are you so obsessed with that? Anyway, one is kind of left to conclude here that the message from the Trump administration is not only that we're no longer acknowledging the military service of non-white men, no matter how noteworthy, we're also no longer acknowledging that segregation was wrong.
It's insane. It's
it's got to feel real nice for all the people currently serving who aren't male or white.
Thank you for your service, question mark. By the way, we're not going to count it.
Yeah, and as the article noted, this isn't an isolated incident. They do, in fact, seem to be just going through the U.S. military's vast online presence and literally whitewashing history to create the appearance of an all-white military.
Yeah, that's how history is rewritten. And we're watching it right now. And luckily, there seems to be a willingness for a decent amount of people to say, hey, that's fucked up. Stop doing that.
I think it's like even people who their knee-jerk reaction to DEI and affirmative action is maybe not the most, maybe not the best. People who are swayed by a lot of this culture war bullshit. I feel like even most of those people will be like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Wait, what? Yeah, there was. I can't. We won't be able to find it, but there was a video where a guy starts asking very basic questions about the workplace, and it has like a DEI counter, and this MAGA supporting guy is just running up the counter as he talks, and it's like, these are very basic things that everyone should have regardless of the color of your skin or gender or whatever, and a lot of people agree with it. I think a majority of people agree with it, except it's being vilified and positioned to them in a way that makes it seem like they are being attacked by it.
And you can largely thank the Democratic Party and their media apparatus, or lack thereof, for never really highlighting all the various ways that all this supposedly woke stuff actually helps the average person.
No,
all anyone fucking hears is these like edge cases or just straight up lies about how someone else is getting one over on
the
you.
fucking the game plan is so easy. Break the glass, we're gonna legalize weed. The last month of the fucking campaign, they knew it was over because they hit that.
Yeah.
And then you have Tim Walz coming out now this week being like, yeah, they told me not to fucking do anything. I should have ignored what they were telling me and been out there.
Yeah, you weren't being generic enough, Tim.
Tim was like,
you were
Tim
getting
Walz
people
was
excited, and that's scary.
He got offers to go on podcasts, and they said nope.
Anyway,
yeah, here's another example from just this week. Since its creation during the Civil War, there have only been 3,536 Medal of Honor recipients. It's the U.S. Armed Forces' highest decoration and is reserved for serious acts of valor. But if the Medal of Honor recipient is black, well, I guess there's a problem, apparently. Here's The Guardian. The U.S. Defense Department webpage celebrating an Army general who served in the Vietnam War and was awarded the country's highest military decoration has been removed, and the letters DEI added to the site's address. On Saturday, U.S. Army Major General Charles Calvin Rogers' Medal of Honor webpage led to a 404 error message. The URL was also changed, with the word medal changed to DEI medal.
Oh my fucking God.
Jesus. Rogers, who was awarded the Medal of Honor by then-President Richard Nixon in 1970, served in the Vietnam War, where he was wounded 3 times while leading the defense of a base.
So yeah, I mean, it sounds like he earned that Medal of Honor. It's a rare distinction, and he earned it. And actually, I mean, you look into this more, and the details are even crazier. This guy, over the course of like 12 hours, just kept on fighting while continuing to get injured over and over again, while completely outnumbered. And while most people would have asked, hey, I'm done, get me a medic, he just kept on fighting, and his perseverance seems to have saved a bunch of his squad mates' lives.
Give that man back his Medal of Honor.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess in the eyes of Pete Hegseth, he also earned a DEI medal that day, which supersedes the other medal. And it's pretty clear why. The description on Google search for the webpage that was removed reads, Army Major General Charles Calvin Rogers served through all of it. As a black man, he worked for gender and race equality, while in the service.
Yeah, that'll do it.
The details of what exactly he did in terms of gender and race equality, they're not clear, but it's, I would say, probably safe to assume that as a high-ranking black officer in the 1970s, he probably wanted to see that other black people and women and other minorities receive opportunities for advancement that they were otherwise being denied. I would assume that's what happened here. That's good. That should be celebrated, unless it is literally not something that the military supports anymore.
It's crazy that the United States doesn't want to be proud of this.
Yeah.
It is an astonishing feat. A perfect example of someone serving their country in the bravest, most patriotic way possible. Not that I agree with military intervention or anything like that. I'm just saying
Vietnam.
I'm just saying as an example of what you would think is an American.
Right. Like, it's so, I always say this, like, I'm the last person you want to ask about this kind of shit.
Yeah.
But, like, it's wild that I seem to have more respect for the troops than these people who won't ever shut the fuck up.
Hell, I'll even stand if they're over 50 years old and they do a thing at a sporting event. Under 50, I'm like, I don't know.
I mean, Pete Hegseth has certainly repeatedly made his position clear on women serving in combat roles.
They should be getting me a beer.
Maybe he feels similarly about desegregation. Someone should ask him. It's not a question that would be coming out of the blue.
Yeah. Get him a beer or two first and then ask him.
Yeah, get him a little, I mean, he's probably already a little liquored up.
Yeah, he's at a base 0.6.
Yeah.
He's one beer shy of not being able to drive, and that's intentional.
Mm-hmm.
He knows his limits.
He does.
I can operate fully at 0.6. Anyways, while we're on the topic of military heroes whose only crime was not being white, this week the DEI label also came for the Navajo code talkers of World War II. We used to make movies about these heroes.
Yeah, Nicolas Cage. It's
the Wind Talkers.
Yeah, it's a really cool story.
Yeah,
about a very crucial thing that helped us win the war in the Pacific.
Unique to our geographical region.
Yeah,
and
and like almost like an allegory for, in a very small way, righting the wrongs of the past and coming together as a country, a pluralistic country, to take on a common enemy?
I don't think so.
No, woke.
Here's the Arizona Mirror. Prominent Native American figures in U.S. military history have been erased from the U.S. Department of Defense's website as part of the sweeping effort stemming from President Donald Trump's executive order banning diversity, equity, and inclusion. The Department of Defense website removed articles featuring details about the Navajo Code Talkers, Navajo men who served during World War II and used their language